If you are working 40 hours a week, that's roughly 2,080 hours a year that you are giving of your time. 2,080 hours a year. If that's something that we're going to give, that we're going to do to make money, it needs to be something that you are passionate about. It needs to be something that makes you smile. It needs to be something that you feel is fulfilling. And I think that one myth that job seekers have is that I can't work and be happy. Au contraire. If the pandemic has taught us anything, it's that we can use our talents and our passions to secure a career, because they thought that this is a set career, and all of a sudden the rug was pulled right from under them. I've had the opportunity to assist job seekers in all different phases from all different backgrounds. So I'm excited to talk with you about resumes and how we can really position ourselves through our resumes to get the jobs, not even the jobs, the careers that we want. Let's do
it. You almost said my line for my podcast.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to Carson Knows Best Podcast. Have you ever felt alone, or you felt like you need to update your mindset, your perspective? Maybe just feel more aligned with the goals and dreams that you're trying to get to. Yes, life can be challenging. Even being around certain surroundings and people, well, I wanted to create this podcast for you, me, and people aligned, so that we can take ourselves to the next level, not only just financially, but also physically and mentally. This is Carson C. Graham, your mentor, your coach. And not only that, I'm also a serial entrepreneur, and this is Carson Knows Best.
This is Carson C. Graham. Welcome to Carson Knows Best Podcast. I have my first official guest, which is Amber Vaughn, and I am super happy to have her here. Okay, so she is a political and nonprofit consultant with 15 years of workforce management. So I'm super excited to have her here on a guest. How are you doing today, Amber?
I am doing good. It is International Women's Day. So what better way to kick off your first podcast interview than with me? I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. So yes, shout out to all the women out there. Appreciate you all. Without women in the world, I mean, I don't know how far it would honestly get. So I appreciate every single one of you all. All right. So today's topic is called resumes, do's and don'ts. And I figure why not talk with the best person to ask about this is Amber, because Amber's been in the workforce for a long time. She knows how to manage people and help them just develop really good resumes and portfolios, even if it comes down to LinkedIn, because I know I've asked her for questions when I was in the workforce, but it's good to keep stuff up to date. So I figured why not talk to Amber with you on this. I mean, let's just be honest, like even with all these companies, a lot of them didn't think work from home would be possible, but I mean, we've been doing it now for how long?
Oh my goodness, I've been working from home since about 2017. So just talking a little bit about my last job. So I worked with a boot camp that delivered technical trainings and certifications on college campuses. So I've been working from home since 2017, assisting job seekers, as they transition back into the workforce, and doing this roughly for about 15 years, working with job seekers that come from traditional backgrounds, like your higher ed, your college graduates, your career changers, but also those who are re-entering into the workforce after they are returning home from maybe incarceration and things like that. So I've worked with returning citizens and started working when the stock market crashed. And that was a time in which it was really strange, because you had people who never had to look for jobs before, people who've been secure in their careers and where they were going, because they thought that this is a set career, and all of a sudden the rug was pulled right from under them. So I've had the opportunity to assist job seekers in all different phases from all different backgrounds. So I'm excited to talk with you about resumes and how we can really position ourselves through our resumes to get the jobs, not even the jobs, the careers that we want, because we don't want just a job. We want careers and things that are going to help take us to the next level. So let's do it.
You almost said my line for my podcast. My podcast is all about mind, body, and soul perspectives and just helping people feel more aligned. And every time I talk to people, and me and Amber, we have our own friendship, right? And we were always collaborating on ideas. And I say, listen, it's all about being in tune and being intentional what you want to do and not just doing it, right? it's got to feel good.
Put this into perspective, if you are working 40 hours a week, that's roughly 2,080 hours a year that you are giving of your time. 2,080 hours a year. If that's something that we're going to give, that we're going to do to make money, it needs to be something that you are passionate about. It needs to be something that makes you smile. It needs to be something that you feel is fulfilling. And I think that one myth that job seekers have is that I can't work and be happy. Au contraire. If the pandemic has taught us anything, it's that we can use our talents and our passions to secure careers and opportunities that we want. I am a product of that, being able to walk in my passion, work in my passion, and the things that really ignite my soul. So yeah, this is going to be good, Carson.
Yeah, for sure. And, we're hoping to, well, I know for a fact this is going to help a lot of people. So I appreciate it. Anyone has any questions or anything you want to ask directly, just drop a comment below, or you can even tag one of us if you want to, and we will get back to you. So we're here to help you all, elevate throughout the entire year. So let's get into it. In your opinion, how often should people update their resume?
Frequently, often, every day. Every time that you get a new skill, every time that you are tasked with something different, every time that you assume a new project, a new role, put that on your resume or have a running list of things that you've done in your job. And the reason why I say that is because oftentimes we'll get in a role and we'll just be in that role and we'll be doing all of these different things and working on this team. We'll be working on this pilot project, or we led this, or things like that. But none of that translates to our resume. And what that means is that we're selling ourselves short. So we're doing all of these things, but we're not allowing ourselves to get the credit or positioning ourselves for those better opportunities. But also, when you work in a position for so long, you begin to think of everything as like, oh, I just manage 46 people. Oh, I just lead the trainings or whatever it is. And I guarantee you, if I said, Carson, right now, I want you to write out the steps it takes for you to brush your teeth, you would miss a step because you do it every day. And the same thing happens in building your resumes in the job search, because we do the things so often that it becomes so mundane to us that it doesn't seem like it's something that's worthy of sharing. We'll say, oh, it's just, or I only, well, I don't. And those words minimize what you bring to the table. So have a running list of all of the things that you do to either update your resume or update that list, because that's going to determine how you can move in similar positions, but also how you can position yourself for other opportunities that are leveraging those skills that weren't necessarily in your job title.
Those are some really good points, right? So that stood out to me is you said, don't say I can't. And I for these positions you think about applying for. So that leads into my next question. People that do want to switch those careers and they feel like, I don't know if I have what they're asking for. Like, I feel like I can, but like, I feel like my resume doesn't have all those skills. Should I still apply? Like, what do you suggest?
I suggest a couple of things. One, I am a product of volunteering my way into my next position. So I kind of thought about what it is that I wanted to do, how I wanted to see myself progress in my career. And because of that, I was able to seek out volunteer opportunities that aligned with where it is that I saw myself going. And one thing that was helpful for me was that I looked at positions that I hope to assume. And in those positions that I hope to assume, I tried to work those into my volunteer roles or to acquire the skills that were in those positions. So even if it wasn't translating in my work experience, for instance, it was definitely coming through in my volunteer experience, which makes me want to talk a little bit about resume styles. You don't have to use a chronological resume. I want us to free ourselves from that, because not all the time chronological resumes better position you for the opportunities that you want. Case in point, if you say, for instance, all of your experience is in your volunteer, right? You've done a whole whole bunch of things in volunteer experience, but you've had these last 3 jobs, right? So chronologically, you're going to focus on your last 3 jobs, and then maybe it's going to be a little blurb of your volunteer experience. But then how many of us actually go through our volunteer experience and put what we've done, right?
Right.
So consider that an employer is going to get your resume. They've got 30 seconds to scan it. And all they can see is, okay, you've been a warehouse clerk. You've been a customer. Okay, this person is not qualified for this position. However, in using different resume formats like functional resumes, you can organize your resumes according to skills. So instead of me focusing on my job titles and my positions, the skills that I've acquired, say, for example, my fundraising, right? My fundraising and nonprofit management skills can be a block. And those will speak to the positions or the bullets that are in that job description. But I'd also say, in talking about how you talk about those things that's in that job description, I've never seen a job seeker, well, I have a few of them, apply for positions and they're looking at the job description. They're like, oh my God, I can do none of these things. Let me apply to this, right?
Right.
So if you're looking at this job description and you know that you can do those things, the name of the game is to use as much verbiage in that resume, in that job description bullet, to describe what you've done. Maybe the bullet is managed operations. Maybe you didn't manage operations, but you managed a team of XYZ, right?
Okay.
You want to think about those verbs, those transferable skills. It doesn't have to necessarily be word for word, but you want to be able to say, I've managed, I've delivered, I've done those things that they're asking for, and then make it your own.
Okay. Wow. That's some really good stuff there. Okay. So you're saying it's also important to mention and highlight those aspects that they're looking for. So if I want to get into management and I have that volunteer skills, say, I don't know, I put together a team of 15 people and we manage, I don't know, knocking the door or maybe helping a nonprofit, you're saying I can really use those skills and put that on my resume. Wow.
Oh, absolutely. My last job my last position that I applied for before my last job, I was not necessarily traditionally qualified for the position. And one of the questions that I asked the employer was, why did you interview me? He was like, your resume got my attention. He was like, I was interested. And I did a functional format in which I built it according to my skills, because let's think about it. I've got my name, my contact information, maybe my summary, right? And then my education, maybe, but then we're going into those blocks of skills. And if we're down to maybe 3/4 of the page and they're like, oh, wow, she can do this, she can do that, she can do that. When we get to the bottom where I talk about my work experience, or I don't even say work experience, I'll say related work and volunteer experience, or related volunteer experience, because this is where I've gotten these things from. I guarantee you that an employer is going to call you in because now they're intrigued and they're like, wait a minute, well, let's talk a little bit more, because this person has the things that I'm looking for. So the who, what, when becomes a little less the point in the conversation. Okay,
now, are we putting related experience? Is that literally how you're titling it, that bullet point? Okay, wow.
I'll say,
and this is called a functional style, right? Resume?
A functional resume. And there are different, I say that there is no, just like there's a Reese's, there is no one way to do a resume. You do your resume according to the needs of the job description. If I know that maybe I'm not the best fit, but they're asking for someone with a bachelor's degree, and I'm not necessarily the top candidate, I put my bachelor's degree up top, where normally I may have it to the bottom. So I organize my information, I organize my skills, I even organize my bullets according to what's in the job description, because I don't want to waste the employer's time. And you never want them to look at your resume and say, but why is this person qualified? Why does this have to do with me?
Right. Man, that's some now you just taught me a lot.
Listen, we're dropping
Now, mind you, I've been in the IT field for over 12 plus years, and God knows I did not know the stuff you're talking about is very strategic and it makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that. Wow, that's good stuff, Amber. Thank you for that.
That's why I'm here, babes.
That's good stuff. So, all right. So let me ask you this. What about for the people that are concerned about the gaps on their resume? Because that's a big thing. Some people are like, and then you have the part where it's like, I'm overqualified. So I know it's a two-parter. Can we talk a little bit about that from your perspective?
We absolutely can. So in the situation where we have some resume gaps, some work experience gaps for whatever the reason is, a functional resume is perfect for that because it doesn't focus on when you were there, how long you were there. It focuses on your skills. And think about it, if the employer is reading your resume and you're focused on those skill sections like customer service, management experience, career director experience, when they get down to your employment, they're a little less thrown off. It's not necessarily the focal point. They're a little bit more intrigued. One of two things is going to happen. If you're using the verbiage that's in that job description, you're 9 times out of 10 going to get past the applicant tracking systems that are scanning your resumes for keywords and phrases to make sure that you're a good fit. But also, once you get past that applicant tracking system, now the employer, you got a real set of eyes looking at it and saying, okay, this person has got this skill and maybe there's some gaps. If anything, they'll bring you in and allow you to answer those questions and say, well, tell me about, I see that you were unemployed from 2015 to 2017. Tell me more about that.
Okay.
Now, with that being said, I don't care if you spent time in prison. I don't care if you were a stay-at-home mom. I don't care what the reason was for that gap. You need to find a very professional and polished way to articulate that, but also confidence is key. Confidence is key. And if you're self-conscious about it, and let's just pick a situation, say I am a returning citizen and I have a gap in my employment because of that, right? I can't say that like, well, I was locked up and no. You have to say it with confidence and say, there's a gap in my experience because previously I was incarcerated due to some decisions I made early on in life. I was released in 2017. And since my release, I have diligently worked to rebuild myself as a citizen, a contributing citizen of this society. I've volunteered here, I've done that. And I've also, what have you done? Don't make it about the gap. Talk about what you did in that gap, right? Did we go back to school? Were we a stay-at-home mom? If you were a stay-at-home mom, say, I had a gap in between my experience because I really wanted to take some time to focus on raising my children. Now that they're all in school, I'm ready. I'm excited to get back into the workforce. I've taken several Udemy or training courses. Don't just don't linger in the gap. Do something with that time. So even if there is a gap, you can say, I took a training course. I volunteered here. What did you do to upskill? And there was another part of that question. I'm sorry.
So what about for the people that feel overly qualified?
Yes. So as someone...
Is that a thing?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
It's absolutely a thing.
Okay.
And remember that I said to organize your resume according to what's important in the job description. I've had people apply for junior level software engineer positions and they put that they have their doctorate or that they have their JD. Who's going to hire you?
That's like, when you just said that to me, I'm like, whoa, you sound why are you here? Why are you applying for this?
That's exactly what the employers say.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Bro, what are you doing?
Wow.
You have your JD, you have this, you have that. You're going to leave me. And so what I do share is that I encourage you to put just enough on your resume. You don't have to give them you want to give them snippets along the way. You want to give them a little bit in the resume. You want to give them a little bit in the phone screen. You want to give them a little bit more in the first interview, give them a little bit more in the second interview. We don't have to give it all. We just need to be able to get in the door. So when constructing your resume, think what will get me in the door. And if they're asking for an associate's degree, and maybe you have your master's, I only put my bachelor's.
Right.
Because I don't want to seem too out of the way, because they're absolutely going to ask you, well, why do you want this job? Why? You have your master's degree. Why do you want your job? But also, that's not necessarily related for the position. And if you're applying for a position that you may seem overqualified for, my question to you is, why are you lowballing yourself? Why are you not applying for those higher positions? What are we doing?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I think a lot of people play it safe.
We're still doing that? No, Carson, the man of manifestation and creating the world and the life that you see for yourself. We have to dream big.
Right.
We gotta.
You have
the worst thing they can say is no.
Right.
And then if they say no, I've had job seekers that have not been given opportunities. They've been told no, but I don't get thrown off by a no. Say, okay, and this is a real life story. I had a student apply for a position. He was told that he wasn't a good fit, and he was bummed because this was his dream job. I said, don't give up. If Idris Elba, if Jonathan Majors tells me no, do you think I'm just gonna let that no happen? I'm gonna be like, well, listen, I just want to follow up. And that's what we need to do with these employers. And he circled back with that employer and he said, I'll just be honest with you. I didn't do the best on the job interview. However, this has been a company that I've had my eye on. I've done this, I've done that. And I would take an unpaid internship. Sometimes we got to be willing to work for free, because if it's your dream, if this is what you want, you have to be willing to invest. He put on the table the opportunity to volunteer with them, to intern with them in an unpaid capacity. Not only did he say yes to that, they said, we'll pay you. And after 60 days, if this works out, we'll give you a job. It worked out. He got the job. The end. Who cares about a no?
Right.
Nobody.
Yeah. No, that's really good stuff, Amber. But there's a couple of things that you said. So the biggest thing I always used to tell myself, I have to admit, like, I don't play when it comes down to jobs. Well, when I was trying to get one, one of the mindsets I had was, I just need, once I send my resume and it gets accepted, my foot's in the door. That's it. Yes. I had this mindset of, like, if I get an interview, it's done. Yes. Like, but I agree. You have to have that confidence. And Amber, because you worked with a lot of IT professionals, it's pretty normal for us to have contracting jobs, 1099 jobs. And what I would do, especially with if they ever ask me, well, hey, I noticed you're only here for, so long. And I'm like, hey, it was a project, project ended. That was it. And I was okay with that, and you're right. If you say it with confidence, and again, you've already talked with as an expert in your field, they're going to trust you versus, I'm not, you know what I'm saying? So I agree with what Amber just said. And the biggest thing I want to add too is this podcast is all about elevation, right? So if you're going to manifest the job you want, you got to start acting like it, right? If you're going to be a director, a management, a project manager, start acting like it and talk like the field expert. Like, I don't know, Amber, we haven't talked about interviews because that's a different subject. We should have, but I can't want to.
I can come back.
We might have to do a part 2 of Amber, because I wanted to talk about interviews because dang, I'm gonna say it a little bit as a gym just to get started, but I love to read the job description, and I also research the company. So when I go into those interviews, I know how to talk to these people, because you should not be going into this without knowing anything.
Preach. Okay, so I'm someone who likes to hear things, and don't give me the jargon filled response. Give it to me in layman's terms. Baby bird it to me. I think of job searching like dating.
Okay.
We live in the age of social media. I am not going out on a date with someone that I didn't check their Facebook. I want to see if you're on Instagram. I'm going to have my friend profile from LinkedIn. I'm going to do my research on you so I know what it is that I'm getting into, because that shows, one, I'm interested in you. I'm trying to really make sure that this is a good fit for both of us so I know what I'm getting myself into. So the fact that you do that and you take those extra steps, that shows to the employer that in the first few moments, I'm willing to go the extra mile. I'm willing to go above and beyond, because when you're able to speak to an employer about something that wasn't in the job description, or that speaks to the company culture, or that speaks to what they've done in the news or things like that, they're like, wait a minute.
Right.
Yes, I am. I'm serious. And if you're serious about that company, you're going to research them, and you're going to make sure that what you have aligns with what they need.
That's key. That makes total sense. Amber, let me ask you this just for encouragement for some people. What if they're not really sure what kind of career they want to go to next? So should we be making a couple different resumes? I know I've talked to you about this recently. I was like, should we have different ones? Or,
So this is my thing, and job seekers hate it when I say this, but resumes are not moo-moos. This is not one size fits all. So consider that we're still thinking of it like this is a dating scenario, right? Carson, what if you told everyone that you went on a date with, I like you because you're 6'2", long hair, beautiful, great eyes. That's not going to be everyone. And when they ask you, well, why do you like me? Because you're 6'2", long hair and gray eyes, they're gonna be like, that's not me. Swipe, right? So think about that in terms of the job descriptions in these positions that you're applying for. If you're using one size fits all, I can guarantee you that you're getting screened out, because one, you're not getting past the applicant tracking systems that are scanning your resumes for keywords and phrases compared to that job description. But then also, people can't see the correlation. Don't leave it up to the employer to say, oh, well, they should know, or they should assume more. Like, make it plain for them. They don't have time to interpret how your information and your skills translates into this position. So I have for every position that I've applied for, I have a different resume, because each one has different skills, talks about different things, uses different verbs, different adjectives, even if my bullets are just reorganized a little bit. So yes, different resumes all the time.
Okay. All right. So yeah, this is some really, really good stuff. I mean, I feel like we're gonna have to probably do a part 2. But y'all can't get everything in one episode. I mean, we gotta keep it exciting. So we got to give them some more gems here. I love the word gems, but it's true. I like to give gems. So let me ask you, what platforms or services can people use? Because let's just be honest, some people get overwhelmed with making resumes.
Yes.
Where can they either hire someone or use a website to create this resume?
I've had people hire folks from LinkedIn. I like to, if you're going to look for somebody who is a resume writer and can do this for you, look on LinkedIn, because that same thing, you can see who's endorsing them for resume writing. Like if you go to my LinkedIn right now, Amber Vaughn, MSM on LinkedIn, you can see that over 99 people have endorsed me for being able to write resumes. You can, and not only that, you can see recommendations that people have given me, saying Amber changed my life, or she did this, or she did that. So you get to back it up. But also Upwork. You can look on Upwork as well.
True. Yeah. Upwork's great. And another one, which I didn't realize too, is you can get some templates too, I'm sure, from like either Etsy or Canva as well.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Boom. Love me some Canva. Canva.com. If you're watching this, I am like your number one fan. I am the digital ambassador here. I love a good Canva resume. So what I do is I have a bland resume. I have 2 resumes. One is a bland resume. That's just a plain Word document, no columns, no real formatting. It's got bullets, but no jazz, right? That's the one that I use when it says upload your resume here. Plain doc, Google Doc, Microsoft Doc, whatever. Oh, but when they call me in for the interview, That's when ma'am brings out her Canva resume. That's when I come and take it to the next level. I'm not going to give you that same Word doc resume because, again, I'm wasting your time. But now I'm going to give you that Canva resume that looks polished, that looks professional, that says, oh, she's going above and beyond. Yes, she is. So I use my Canva resume when I go in for interviews, but also say Carson is hooking me up and says, Amber, I know this position that you will be perfect for. Send your email to my friend Ruth over there at, I send Ruth my email with my Canva document because I know she's looking at it, not the applicant tracking system. So when you have human eyes looking at it in networking situations, email this person directly, or in the interview, Canva, but uploading the resume, basic Word doc. No PDFs, no nothing. Sometimes I use a PDF, it just depends. But no fancy formatting. It throws the applicant tracking systems into a meltdown.
Okay, got it. Good to know. Okay, good to know,
I
because
almost left off Canva. I love that thing.
Canva is great. I'm gonna be honest. I used to trash talk Canva a little bit because, you know, I am a graphic designer and stuff, but I must admit, even I use Canva at this moment for a lot of different things.
My happy place. It's where I go when I get sad.
Yeah. And it's a game changer too. You know, they also have a website feature too. You know, even though I'm a web developer, I have messed around with it recently because I've gotten into the UGC space. So I made content creation for brands, and I'm like, okay, cool. We mess around with Canva.
Yeah.
So Amber, so I think you answered this earlier, but what about for our freelancers? Do you recommend the same format for their resume too, if they're looking to be like a graphic designer or a consultant, especially the consultants? Because I feel, for some reason, I'm feeling this energy. I'm thinking like in 2023, I feel like there's a lot of consultants.
Yes.
So should we have a resume for consulting? I'm assuming, was that a good idea? Like, and what if they have their own company, right? So let's say I have my own company and I want to start consulting for, I don't know, nonprofits or politicians. Like, what do you suggest? How do I sell myself on my resume?
Oh, child, who chile? So one, I would say that if you are not applying for a job, don't necessarily use a resume.
Okay.
But because we're taking the game to the next level, you're beyond a resume. If you're a graphic designer, if you're a freelancer, you have projects and things that you can speak to. Why don't we have a portfolio? That's something that I was going to mention about Canva as well. They have a portfolio feature as well, and you can put your projects in there. You can talk about what it is that you have, a full presentation that you can give to people, because you're now beyond just I don't want to say just a resume, but you're kind of beyond the resume phase. We're in the, hey, hire me. This is my recruitment tool. This is my tool that brings people to me. It shows them what you can do, your projects. It outlines that. It's visually appealing. It gets their attention. But again, it shows them that you are not playing around. So whether you have like a downloadable portfolio or whether you have a portfolio website, if you are an entrepreneur, you should have a website that talks about you and what it is that you do, even if it's just a landing page. You know what I'm saying? Think about the presentation of it all. And the more that you present like you are that thing, the more people will believe that you are that thing. Presentation is everything.
Okay, got it. So at this point, we should be focusing on a portfolio and not a resume. I love that. That makes sense, because it's like you're already that field expert, so you need to present yourself in that manner. That makes a lot of sense. That's good stuff, Amber. It's good stuff.
Also, if we've built engaging and user-friendly websites, that doesn't necessarily resonate as far as like them being able to see the engaging and user-friendly websites that we've done. So sometimes I use a lot of links in my resume so people can click. I always include my portfolio link. So there are a lot of different ways that you can do it. But my one piece of advice, especially if you're in the web development, design industry, absolutely have a portfolio that you can share.
Okay, now these links, are you putting these links in your LinkedIn you're talking about? Like for them to the ones
in
that
my
you just
resume. So
in the resume. So how
mhm.
would you title that? Like portfolio and then link or
So for example, under my contact information, I have my
Mhm.
phone number, my email, and then I'll say link to portfolio, right? Or
Oh.
in the bullets, if I have, and this is my Canva resume, I don't put links in my Word doc resume. In my Canva resume that I'm delivering to somebody, if I say that I built engaging and user-friendly websites, I link to one of those engaging or user-friendly websites.
Ah, I see. So they get a real example.
Come
That's
on.
good.
I know. Thank you, Carson.
Y'all should be super elevated after this conversation.
Yes, that's a goal. We deserve great things. We deserve high-paying careers, and they are out there. They are out there. And once you believe that they are and that you are worthy of those things, they become a lot more attainable.
Absolutely, for sure. Also now we're on this track. I do feel like the part two will even talk about, learning about salaries and hourly rates and how to make sure you have the industry standard. I really think we have to work together not to mess up the market. Now that's what I've been preaching on my TikTok. I said that a couple months ago. It takes a team to make this work. But anyways, we won't get in that today. I'm gonna say that for my part two.
Man,
This is Carson C. Graham here. This is Carson Knows Best Podcast. Just continue to tune in with us. I'm not going to say exactly how often I'm going to do these, but I'm pretty sure it will be like bi-weekly. But you will be seeing Amber again, I'm sure. And I want to thank you all so much for tuning in to this episode. This is Resumes, Do's and Don'ts. So some of the things we've highlighted, you can also go back and watch at your own pace. And like Amber said, you want to get past that, the analytics and that system. What's the key word you said? The keyword?
the applicant tracking system.
The applicant tracking system. I feel like that is a game changer. And some of the things that Amber talked about is just like, I'm sorry, but this episode is like more than $1 million. Like, y'all got to get on this and watch this episode right now today.
Right now.
You already know. So don't forget to follow the podcast, Carson Knows Best Podcast. Hit us both up on LinkedIn as well. You guys know I'm here on Facebook. You reach out to Amber for any questions and make sure you hire her too if you're looking for a consultant. She's amazing to work with. So again, it's Carson C. Graham with Carson Knows Best Podcast. Amber, you want to say anything else before I close out here?
I would say thank you so much, Carson, for this opportunity and just ending the way we started. Happy International Women's Day. I am wearing my favorite Whitney Elizabeth Houston Brown shirt. She says that we are every woman, it's all in us. Women, this is specifically for the women. As you go into the workforce, as you go into the interviews, know that you are enough. Do not downplay your experience. Do not downplay what you bring to the table, your skills, your worth. You are more than enough. So go get it, go own it, and happy International Women's Day. Thank you, Carson.
You're welcome. And like I always told Amber this and everyone else, whatever you want already wants you. So yes, stay empowered and continue to do your thing. And again, thank you all, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll see you again.